Now, Nash, I don't know if you know this, but there's two things at the top of my list that women shouldn't do while pregnant. Number one is be a professional wrestler, and number two is flying a fighter jet.
Yeah, no, when you're pregnant, you're not supposed to fly.
No, but the Air Force has these uniforms to accompany to accommodate for pregnant women.
Like, you're not even supposed to just be changing altitude a lot.
Yeah. So those are some of the problems with woke culture. When it comes to air school, the keyword there is school. This none of those things we just mentioned in the past 5 minutes apply to this. Unless it comes out that they're going to change the regimen and make it easier for these people, which I don't know how you could physically do, because nowadays the planes pretty much fly themselves.
Well, and it's not a matter of, because you're just operating machinery, you just have to have the know-how to do it. You don't have to there's no physical exertion requirement.
Yeah, that it's like you're studying. You're not like studying for a test either. It's just like, okay, you do this until you pass the class, and if you don't, you flunk out. So it's kind of like a school, but like if someone's going to flight school specifically, like unless they're recruiting minorities and women who don't want to be pilots, like that's where I think I can really see this kind of falls on its head. Where like if they're recruiting people who want to be pilots, I think they'll be just fine.
People who don't pass a psych test like that, right? But they said they're not going to lower that standard, so the neighborhood is fine.
I have to take them at their word. So our flight deck. This is from United. Quote: Our flight deck should reflect a diverse group of people on board our planes, and every day, the company said Tuesday in a Twitter statement announcing in the news. Quote: That's why we plan for 50% of the 5,000 pilots we train in the next decade. Again, keyword there is train, people. TRAIN. Train. Well, the next decade will be women with people of color. According to the data from U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, about 94% of pilots and flight engineers are white. That data also indicates about as many are men. United South that said only about 7% of its pilots are women and only 13% aren't white. With those stats in mind, United said it's working with 3 historically black colleges and universities to help drive recruitment. Now, here's an issue I have. And maybe they're not. Maybe this is just me reading into it. But
okay, no. Here, before you go, I just want to say you're racist. All right, you can continue.
I don't see that 94% of pilots are white men as a bad thing.
Sully was white. No, what's your point? I don't know why.
No, like my point is like maybe I'm just reading into this. I think that the article I pulled this from kind of said that stat as, oh, this is a bad thing. This is absurd. But I like that they're working with historically black colleges to drive recruitment. Sure, that's great. But maybe is it possible just white people just love being pilots? Maybe just other people just don't want to be pilots. Is that possible?
Yeah, I mean, but I feel like there's not a problem with that statement. I think that's a fine thing to suggest. I don't think that's harmful. Maybe just white people love planes. I don't know. I'm trying to think of how many white people I know that love planes. But anyway, I got one. But
I got 0. I don't know anybody who is. Oh my god, dude, the jet engine. Oh, that purr. Oh god! The pilot of Lost. Oh my god! That jet engine would not explode like that. Let me tell you something, brother.
But I mean, yeah.
No, I know 0 people like that.
I do. And anyway, I don't think
is it Houston?
Saying no, it's not Houston.
God,
but
damn.
It's not like what this program doing. It's not harmful. It's just like, okay, maybe the opportunities just haven't been there. Let's see if that's the case. It doesn't really hurt anybody. It's just like, we're giving easier access because maybe it hasn't been there in the past. Because I would assume black people weren't allowed to fly planes in like the 60s or something like that.
Probably not.
So,
We have to fact check that.
Could be correcting that. I don't know. I really don't know. That's kind of an interesting thing to know. Because I wonder if planes are segregated. We'll put a pin in that one. But yeah, like there's no real negative to doing this. You know what I mean?
Maybe it was so expensive to fly, they just minorities just couldn't afford it. Maybe we'd have to look into this. This is interesting. So we'll get back to you on our. We'll follow up on our social media at UMadPod, USAMINPOD. All right, we'll get back to you for fuck's sake. So there were, yeah, right. There were some criticisms as I'm trying to adjust my drum so I can read my laptop notes. Quote, how about you hire experienced good pilots regardless of their race or gender? One person asked. I don't care about the pilot's race. I care if he or she can land the damn plane safely. Well, Twitter user number 13, that's why they're going to school to be trained how to fly a plane.
Yeah, I don't, it's not like they're just going around and just finding a black guy and going, hey, you want to fly a plane?
There's candy inside.
Yeah, this isn't, I don't, like, that's the point of them going to school, guy.
Like, unless the training's like, okay, here's your training. You're watching United 93, Sully, and Black Hawk Down. That's it. No, up in the air.
You guys ready? That's all I needed.
And then we had Tucker Carlson saying that people. What do you say, Nash? I think you saw it more than I did.
I didn't even see it at all.
He did like a monologue saying that like we're gonna see record numbers of flights crashing and people dying.
Jesus.
I'm paraphrasing, I hope. But that's essentially something along the lines of what he said. And people on Twitter was like, at Tucker Carlson missed the point again. United is training pilots to a level of safety at all other pilots. The standard isn't dropping. The opportunity for underserved segments of the population is increasing, which great. Fine. I have zero issue with a private company saying, hey, we want to make an initiative to train more people in this job because let's be honest, awful lot of honkies in here.
A lot of crackers in the cockpit.
Right. Oh, that doesn't sound good at all. So yeah, that's the story. You know, people again blowing a non-story completely out of proportion. So out of proportion, we just spent 15 American minutes talking about it. Roll credits, by the way. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back next week as long as. But anyway.
No, we're not.
Get excited. I said the show title. Yeah, it's ridiculous. This story is ridiculous. People are overreacting for no reason, and they're getting schooled for it, like the pilots, because they're going to school.